My fiancé has no idea I'm already married because my first spouse refuses to let me go. Jordan proposed 6 months ago at this crappy diner we go to every Sunday morning. Got down on one knee right next to the bathroom hallway. I said yes because I love him and because I genuinely thought my first marriage was handled. That was stupid of me. See, I got married when I was 19 to someone I met at community college. His name was Grant. We dated for like 8 months, decided we were soulmates or whatever dumb thing teenagers think, and went to the courthouse on a Tuesday afternoon. My mom didn't even know until 3 weeks later when I needed my birth certificate for something, and she found the marriage license in my drawer. The whole thing lasted maybe 14 months. Grant turned out to be the kind of person who thought paying rent was optional if he didn't feel like working that month. I was working 2 jobs trying to keep our apartment while he sat around playing video games and telling me I was nagging him. I finally told him I was done, packed my stuff, and moved back home. That was 7 years ago. I assumed Grant would file the divorce papers. He said he would. He told me multiple times he'd handle it because he felt bad about how everything went down. I was young and stupid and believed him. I moved on with my life, got a better job, got my own place, and eventually met Jordan through a friend's birthday party 3 years ago. Jordan's the complete opposite of Grant. He has an actual career, pays his bills on time, and doesn't think cleaning the apartment is somehow beneath him. When he proposed, I was legitimately happy for the first time in years. Then 2 months ago, I went to get our marriage license and found out I'm still legally married to Grant. I tried calling him. He didn't answer. I sent him like 15 texts asking him to please just sign the divorce papers so we could both move on. He responded with, "Nah, I'm good," and then blocked my number. I drove to his last known address, which was his mom's house across town. She told me he moved to Arizona or Nevada or somewhere out west, and she didn't have a working number for him. She also told me he specifically said if I ever showed up that he wasn't signing anything because he thought it was funny that I couldn't remarry. I contacted a lawyer. She said I could file for divorce without him, but it would take months, maybe over a year, and cost like $3,000 I don't really have saved up. She also said if Grant decided to show up and contest it, it would take even longer and cost more. So now I'm engaged to Jordan. We've got a wedding date set for 8 weeks from now, and I'm still legally married to someone who's apparently decided to ruin my life for fun. Jordan keeps asking about the marriage license. I told him there was a problem with my birth certificate and I'm getting it sorted out. He believed me because he trusts me, and now I feel like garbage every single day. The wedding invitations already went out. Jordan's parents paid for the venue. My dress is hanging in our closet. His sister is flying in from Virginia. Last week, Grant's mom called me. She said Grant reached out to her asking if I'd been by the house. She gave him my new number. He texted me yesterday saying he'd think about signing the papers if I paid him $5,000 for emotional damages from when I left him. I didn't respond. This morning, Jordan asked me again about the marriage license and when we could go pick it up together, and I finally decided to tell him the truth. I took a deep breath and said, "Jordan, I need to tell you something about my past." He put down his coffee and gave me his full attention, holding my hand. I was about to explain everything when his phone rang. It was his mom. She said someone named Grant just called their house asking for our new address, claiming he was an old friend of mine from college who wanted to surprise me before the wedding. Jordan's face went pale. I watched his expression shift from confusion to concern as he listened to whatever his mom was saying. His grip on my hand loosened. "Mom, don't give him our address," Jordan said into the phone. "Don't tell him anything. I'll explain later." He hung up and looked at me. The coffee mug sat forgotten on the table. Steam wasn't rising from it anymore. That's how long we'd been sitting there. "Who's Grant?" Jordan asked. His voice was calm, but I could see the tension in his jaw. My mouth opened, but nothing came out for a second. All those rehearsed explanations I'd practiced in my head for weeks just vanished. "He's my ex-husband." Jordan blinked, then blinked again, like he was trying to reset his brain. "You're what?" "I was married before, when I was 19. It only lasted about a year. I thought it was over. I thought he filed the divorce papers. He didn't." Jordan pulled his hand away from mine. Not fast or angry, just slowly, like he wasn't even aware he was doing it. "You're married," he said. Not a question, a statement. Technically, legally, yes. But Jordan, I swear I didn't know until 2 months ago when I went to get our marriage license. That's why there's been a delay. There's no problem with my birth certificate. There's a problem with me still being married to someone I haven't seen in 7 years. Jordan stood up from the table. He walked to the kitchen window and just stared out at the backyard. The one we'd been talking about putting a vegetable garden in. The one where we joked about our future kids playing. 2 months, he said quietly. "You've known about this for 2 months and you didn't tell me." I was trying to fix it first. I contacted a lawyer. I've been trying to track Grant down to get him to sign the papers. I didn't want to drag you into this mess until I had a solution. But you don't have a solution. No, not yet. And now this guy is calling my parents' house. I don't know how he found their number. I'm so sorry, Jordan. He turned around. His eyes were red, but he wasn't crying. He looked more lost than angry. "The invitations went out," he said. "My sister bought a plane ticket. My parents put down $15,000 for the venue deposit. Our wedding is in 8 weeks." "I know. And you're legally married to someone else." "I know." Jordan grabbed his keys from the counter. His wallet, his jacket from the hook by the door. Where are you going? I need to think. I need to be somewhere that isn't here right now. Jordan, please, let me explain everything. I think you've explained enough for now. He paused at the door. I'm not saying we're over. I'm saying I need space to process the fact that my fiancé is someone else's wife. The door closed behind him. Not a slam, just a quiet click that felt worse somehow. I sat at that kitchen table for I don't know how long. The coffee got cold. My phone buzzed with the text from Jordan's mom asking if everything was okay because Jordan had sounded strange when he called her back. I didn't answer. Then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hey Tessa, heard you're getting hitched? Congrats. Except not really since you're still hitched to me, LOL. Tell your boyfriend's mommy I said hi. Nice house they got. Looked it up on Zillow. I read the message 3 times. The last sentence made my stomach flip. Looked it up on Zillow. I called Jordan's mom immediately. Beverly, hi, it's Tessa. That man who called earlier? Grant. Did you give him your address? No, sweetie. I told him I'd have to check with you and Jordan first. He seemed very pushy about it, though. Said something about wanting to deliver a wedding gift in person. Was that wrong of me to say? No, you did the right thing. Just please, if he calls again, don't tell him anything about us. Hang up if you have to. Tessa, what's going on? Is everything all right? I'll explain later. I promise, just please don't talk to Grant. After I hung up, I called my lawyer, Rochelle. She answered on the 4th ring. Tessa, what's happening? Grant's escalating. He's calling my fiancé's family. He looked up their house on Zillow. He's demanding money to sign the papers. Did you save his texts? Yes, screenshots of everything. Good. This could actually help our case. If he's harassing you and your family, we might be able to get a restraining order and push for an expedited divorce. The court takes a dim view of this kind of extortion. How expedited are we talking? It depends on the judge. Could still be a few months, but it's better than a year. The wedding is in 8 weeks. Rochelle was quiet for a moment. Tessa, I have to be honest with you. You're probably going to need to postpone the wedding. Even in the best case scenario, we're looking at 3 to 4 months minimum to get this resolved. I knew she was right. I'd known it for weeks. I just hadn't wanted to admit it. Is there anything else? Anything faster? There's one option. It's a long shot. If we can prove he abandoned the marriage and deliberately avoided service to cause you harm, some judges will fast-track the case, right? We'd need documentation of your attempts to contact him over the years, proof that you genuinely believe the divorce was finalized, evidence that he's acting in bad faith now. I have texts from 7 years ago where he said he'd handle the paperwork. His mom might testify. She's not exactly his biggest fan. His own mother would testify against him. He's been borrowing money from her for years and never paying it back. She was actually relieved when I left him. Get me everything you can. I'll start working on the expedited petition. But Tessa, you need to tell Jordan the complete truth. Today, don't let this drag out. I promised I would. Jordan came home 6 hours later. The sun was setting and I'd gone through every stage of emotional breakdown possible. Panic, anger at myself, anger at Grant, deep sadness, and finally a weird kind of calm acceptance that whatever happened next, I'd earned it. He walked through the door looking exhausted. His eyes were red and puffy. His shirt was wrinkled like he'd been sitting somewhere uncomfortable for a long time. I went to the park, he said before I could ask. Sat on a bench by the lake and just thought about things. And he sat down on the couch, not next to me, on the opposite end. I love you. I want to marry you, but I don't know if I can trust you anymore. I understand. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you kept a massive secret from me for our entire relationship. You had 3 years to mention you'd been married before. 3 years and you just didn't. I was ashamed. And then so much time passed that it felt impossible to bring up without looking like I'd been hiding something. So instead, you just actually hid something. I couldn't argue with that. He was right. Here's what I need, Jordan said. I need you to tell me everything. From the very beginning. Every detail about Grant, about your marriage, about what's been happening for the past 2 months. And I need you to be completely honest. If I find out later that you left anything out, we're done. Do you understand? So I told him everything. I told him about meeting Grant in my introduction to psychology class during my first semester at community college. How he was funny and charming and made me feel like I was the most interesting person in any room. How we got swept up in this intense romance where everything felt meaningful. How we convinced ourselves that getting married young was romantic instead of stupid. I told him about the 14 months that followed, the tiny apartment we could barely afford, how Grant's charm slowly turned into manipulation, how he'd promised to look for work and then spend all day gaming, how he'd make me feel guilty for wanting him to contribute, how he'd twist every argument until somehow I was always the one apologizing. I told him about the night I left, coming home from a 12-hour shift at the restaurant where I waited tables to find him exactly where I'd left him that morning. Controller in hand, surrounded by empty soda cans and chip bags, the apartment a disaster. How something in me just snapped. How I packed one bag and walked out the door while he barely looked up from his game. I told him about the texts afterward. Grant apologizing, Grant promising to change, Grant saying he felt terrible about everything and would handle the divorce himself because it was the least he could do. Me believing him because I was exhausted and broken and just wanted it all to be over. I told him about the 7 years that followed, building a new life, getting a better job, moving into my own apartment, going to therapy to deal with the aftermath of a toxic relationship, eventually feeling healthy enough to try dating again, meeting Jordan at a friend's birthday party and thinking maybe, finally, good things were possible. I told him about 2 months ago, going to the county clerk's office to start the marriage license process. The clerk typing my name into the computer and then looking at me with this strange expression, being told I was still legally married. The panic, the shame, the frantic attempts to reach Grant, the lawyer, the $5,000 demand. Jordan listened without interrupting. When I finished, he sat quietly for a while. Why 5,000? He finally asked. I don't know. He probably just picked a number that sounded good. Do you think he'd actually sign if you paid? No, I think he'd take the money and ask for more. That's who he is. He doesn't want resolution, he wants control. Holding this over me is the only power he has in his life. Jordan nodded slowly. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're postponing the wedding. My stomach dropped even though I'd known it was coming. I'll tell my parents there's a venue issue. They don't need to know the real reason yet. We'll see if your lawyer can fast-track things. And if Grant shows up anywhere near us or my family, we're calling the police. What about the deposit money? That's my problem, not yours. Jordan, I'm so sorry. I know. He moved slightly closer but still didn't touch me. I believe you didn't deliberately deceive me. I believe you genuinely thought this was handled. But it doesn't change the fact that I've been blindsided. It's going to take time for me to trust you again. Whatever you need, whatever it takes. Right now I need sleep. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. He got up and went to the bedroom. I stayed on the couch, not sure if I was still welcome in our bed. Around midnight, he came back out. What are you doing? I wasn't sure if you wanted me in there. He sighed. Come to bed, Tessa. We're still engaged. I'm hurt and I'm angry, but I'm not throwing away 3 years over this. Not yet. That night, we slept on opposite sides of the mattress with a mile of cold sheets between us. But at least we were in the same room. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since everything fell apart. A lot has happened. First, Jordan told his parents. Not the whole story, just enough. He said there was a legal complication from my past that needed to be resolved before we could get married. His mom, Beverly, was worried but understanding. His dad, Roger, was furious about the venue deposit until Jordan explained that the venue agreed to hold our date for an additional 2 months if we paid a transfer fee. Jordan paid that fee from his own savings. He didn't ask me to contribute. I think it was his way of saying he was choosing to stay, not being forced to. His sister Paulina canceled her plane ticket. She took it well, just said, "These things happen," and asked Jordan to keep her updated. I've never met her in person, and I'm already dreading having to look her in the eye someday. The bigger development is Grant. 3 days after our kitchen conversation, he showed up. I was at work. Jordan called me around 2 p.m. sounding strange. There's a guy standing outside our apartment. Says he's your husband. My whole body went cold. I'm leaving now, don't let him in. I wasn't planning to. He's on the sidewalk. Hasn't tried to come up to the door yet. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I told my boss there was a family emergency and ran to my car. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip the steering wheel the whole drive home. When I pulled into our apartment complex, I saw them right away. Jordan was standing on our front step with his arms crossed. Grant was maybe 20 feet away, leaning against a beat-up Honda I didn't recognize. He looked different than I remembered. Heavier. Greasy hair that needed a cut, a stained t-shirt with some brewery logo on it. I parked and got out. Grant smiled when he saw me. There she is, the love of my life. What are you doing here, Grant? Came to see my wife. That a crime? We're not married. Not in any way that matters. Ohio law disagrees. Jordan stepped down from the porch. You need to leave. Grant held up his hands in mock surrender. Easy there, tough guy. I just want to have a conversation. You can talk through a lawyer, I said. I have one. You can get her information from your mom. Lawyers cost money. You know I don't have money, Tessa. That's why I need you to help me out. $5,000 isn't that much for a clean break. I'm not paying you anything. Then I guess we stay hitched. He shrugged like it was nothing. I got time, do you? Jordan pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. Grant's smile flickered for just a second. Then he recovered, pushing off from his car. Fine. I was leaving anyway. But think about what I said, Tessa. Doesn't have to be complicated. He got in his car and drove away. Jordan immediately walked over to me. Are you okay? No. He knows where we live. We need to talk to your lawyer. That night I called Rochelle and explained what happened. She said Grant showing up uninvited actually helped our case for the expedited petition. It demonstrated harassment. She told me to document everything and consider filing for a restraining order. The next morning, I went to the courthouse and started the paperwork. Filing for a restraining order against your own legal husband is surreal. The clerk looked at me with this expression I couldn't read while I explained the situation. She handed me a stack of forms and pointed toward a row of plastic chairs. I sat there for over an hour writing out every detail of Grant's behavior. The texts, the calls to Jordan's parents, showing up at our apartment, the demand for money. My hand cramped from writing, but I kept going. When I turned everything in, the clerk said a judge would review it within 72 hours. If the temporary order was granted, Grant would be served by a sheriff's deputy and prohibited from coming within 500 feet of me, Jordan, or our residence. 2 days later, I got the call. The order was granted. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought Grant would get served, realize he couldn't win, and just sign the divorce papers out of spite or exhaustion. I was wrong. Grant's mom called me a week after the restraining order was served. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I should. "Tessa, I'm so sorry to bother you," she said. Her voice sounded tired. "Grant's been staying with me since he came back from Nevada. I didn't want to let him, but he's still my son." I understand. The thing is, he's not handling this well. The restraining order really upset him. He's been drinking again, and he keeps saying things that worry me. "What kind of things?" She paused. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. "He keeps saying if he can't have a happy ending, neither can you." My stomach dropped. "Has he said anything specific? About what he might do?" "No, just that, over and over. I tried to talk sense into him, but he won't listen. I thought you should know." I thanked her and hung up. Then I called Rochelle. She said the threat was too vague for police to act on, but she recommended I take precautions. Keep the restraining order paperwork on me at all times. Tell my employer what was happening. Vary my daily routine. Try not to go anywhere alone. That night, I told Jordan everything his mom had said. "Maybe you should stay with your mom for a while," he said. "I'm not letting Grant run me out of my own home. It's not about letting him win. It's about being safe. I feel safer here with you." He didn't argue, but I noticed he started double-checking the deadbolt every time he came home, even during the day. And he moved the baseball bat from the hall closet to our bedroom. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Grant didn't call, didn't text, didn't show up. His mom said he'd gotten a job at some warehouse and seemed to be calming down. Rochelle said the expedited divorce petition was moving through the system and we might have a hearing within the month. I started to relax. Started thinking maybe this was actually going to work out. Then Jordan's car got keyed. He found it in the parking garage at his office. Deep scratches running down the entire driver's side. The word homewrecker carved into the hood. The security cameras at his building hadn't captured anything useful. Whoever did it knew where the blind spots were. Jordan called me from the garage, his voice tight with anger. "I can't prove it was him, but we both know who did this." "I know. This is insane, Tessa. We're being terrorized by your ex and there's nothing anyone will do about it. The restraining order means nothing if we can't prove he violated it. He's being careful. He's doing just enough to make our lives miserable without leaving evidence." He was right. Grant had always been smarter than he looked. Lazier too, but smart when he wanted to be. I started having nightmares. Dreams where Grant was standing at the foot of our bed, watching us sleep. Dreams where I showed up at the courthouse to finally get divorced and the judge just laughed. Jordan was sleeping worse too. Our relationship, which had been slowly healing, started to strain again under the constant pressure. We snapped at each other over stupid things. Forgot to say goodnight. Spent more time in silence than in conversation. One evening, about a month after the car incident, Jordan sat me down. "I've been thinking," he said. "Maybe we should just pay him." "What?" $5,000. "Pay it and be done." "Jordan, if we pay him, he'll ask for more. That's how people like him work." "Maybe. Or maybe he'll take the money and go back to Nevada and we'll never have to deal with him again. And if he doesn't, then at least we'll know we tried everything." I could see how tired he was. Tired of the stress. Tired of looking over his shoulder every day. Tired of checking his car for new damage every morning. "Let me think about it," I said. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, weighing my options. Pay Grant and hope he keeps his word. Don't pay and let the legal process drag on. Both options felt like losing. Around 3 a.m., I got out of bed and grabbed my laptop. I started doing what I should have done weeks ago, actually digging into Grant's life. His social media was sparse, but I found his mom's Facebook page. Through that, I found photos Grant had been tagged in over the years. Most were from Nevada. That's when I found something interesting. Grant had a girlfriend, or at least he'd had one. A woman named Stacy Plummer from Henderson, Nevada. According to her Facebook timeline, they'd been together for about 2 years. Photos of them at restaurants, at a casino, at some kind of desert festival. The last photo of them together was from 4 months ago. After that, nothing. I scrolled through Stacy's page looking for clues. Her posts had gotten vaguer over time. Lots of quotes about knowing your worth and walking away from toxic people. Then 3 months ago, a single post that said, "Sometimes the person you take a bullet for ends up being the one holding the gun." I screenshot everything. The next morning, I called Rochelle. "I need you to find someone for me. A woman named Stacy Plummer from Henderson, Nevada. I think she used to date Grant. What are you hoping to learn? I want to know who he really is now. And maybe she can help prove he's not the victim he's pretending to be." Rochelle said she'd make some calls. 3 days later, I was on a video call with Stacy Plummer. She was pretty in a tired way. Dark hair, sharp eyes, hands that kept fidgeting while she talked. She'd agreed to speak with me after Rochelle explained the situation. "He told me he was divorced," Stacy said. "Like, officially divorced. Said his ex-wife was crazy and had ruined his life. I felt bad for him." That sounds familiar. I should have known better. Red flags everywhere from the start. He never had money but always had excuses. He'd disappear for days and then act like nothing happened. He lied about everything. His job, his family, where he went to school. I don't even know if Grant is his real name. It is. I saw his birth certificate when we got married. Stacy laughed bitterly. At least he was honest about one thing. What happened between you two? I caught him stealing from me. Cash from my purse at first. Then he figured out my debit card PIN and started making withdrawals. By the time I noticed, he'd taken almost $8,000. Did you report it? I tried, but I'd given him permission to use my card once for groceries, and he used that to claim I'd authorized everything. The cops said it was a civil matter. I'd have to sue to get anything back. Did you sue? No, I just wanted him gone. Changed the locks, blocked his number, told everyone I knew to keep him away from me. He showed up drunk at my work once, made a scene. Security had to escort him out. That was the last time I saw him. When was that? About 4 months ago. Right before he apparently decided to go back to Ohio and mess with you. I let that sink in. Grant hadn't come back because he suddenly cared about our marriage. He'd come back because he'd burned every bridge in Nevada. Stacy, would you be willing to give a statement about what he did to you? What kind of statement? Something my lawyer can use. To show that Grant has a pattern of manipulation and harassment. To help speed up my divorce and strengthen the restraining order. She was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Yeah, I'll do it. He made my life hell for 2 years. If I can help make sure he can't do that to someone else, I will. I thanked her repeatedly. After we hung up, I sat in my car and cried. Not sad tears, relieved tears. For the first time since this nightmare started, I felt like I had a real chance. When I got home, Jordan was on the couch watching TV. He looked up when I walked in. Where were you? Getting ammunition, I said. I think I found a way to end this. Update 2. The hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday morning. Rochelle had managed to get everything expedited once we submitted Stacy's statement along with all the documentation of Grant's harassment. The judge assigned to our case was known for not tolerating games, according to Rochelle. That gave me hope. Jordan took the day off to come with me. We didn't talk much on the drive downtown, just held hands at red lights and tried to breathe normally. Grant was required to appear. The restraining order meant he couldn't approach me directly, but in a courtroom with a judge present, he was allowed to be in the same space. I spotted him before he spotted me. He was sitting on a bench outside the courtroom, wearing clothes that were clearly borrowed. A button-down shirt that didn't fit right. Slacks with creases like they'd just been bought. His hair was combed for once. He was trying to look respectable. When he noticed me, he smiled. That same smile from when he showed up at our apartment. Like this was all a big joke, only he understood. Rochelle appeared at my side. Don't engage, let me handle it. We entered the courtroom. It was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, that institutional smell of old paper and floor cleaner. The judge was already seated at her bench. A gray-haired woman with reading glasses and an expression that suggested she'd seen everything twice. Grant sat at a table with a public defender, a young guy who kept shuffling papers nervously. Grant's mom was in the gallery behind him, looking like she wanted to disappear. Rochelle presented our case first. The original marriage and Grant's promise to file for divorce. The 7 years of silence. The discovery that the marriage was never dissolved. Grant's demand for money, the harassment, the restraining order, the damage to Jordan's car. Stacy Plummer's statement about Grant's behavior in Nevada. When she read parts of Stacy's statement out loud, I watched Grant's face change. The confident smile slipped. His jaw tightened. He hadn't known we'd found her. Grant's lawyer tried to argue that the marriage was valid and Grant had rights as my spouse. That the money he requested was reasonable compensation for emotional distress caused by my abandonment. That Stacy's statement was irrelevant. The judge cut him off mid-sentence. Counselor, I've reviewed the documentation. Your client promised to file divorce papers 7 years ago and deliberately failed to do so. He then used his legal marriage status to harass and extort his estranged wife. This is not a complicated case. Your Honor, my client maintains that I don't care what your client maintains. The evidence is clear. She turned to Grant directly. Mr. Waverly, did you or did you not promise to file for divorce in 2018? Grant hesitated. His lawyer whispered something to him. I may have said something like that. Did you file? No, ma'am. Why not? Another hesitation. I guess I didn't get around to it. For 7 years. Yes, ma'am. The judge made a note. And when your estranged wife contacted you 2 months ago to finalize the divorce, what was your response? I wanted to be compensated for. You demanded $5,000. I felt I deserved something. For what exactly? Grant shifted in his seat. The confident act was crumbling. She left me, just walked out. I was devastated. Mr. Waverly, according to the documentation provided, you were unemployed during your entire marriage, contributed nothing to household expenses, and responded to your wife's departure by continuing to play video games. Is that accurate? His lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, my client's employment status is not relevant. It's relevant to establishing character and credibility. Mr. Waverly, answer the question. I was going through a hard time, so that's a yes. The judge reviewed her notes for a long moment. The courtroom was silent. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. Here's what's going to happen, she finally said. I am granting the expedited divorce. The marriage will be dissolved effective immediately. Mr. Waverly is ordered to sign the final papers within 48 hours. If he fails to comply, he will be held in contempt of court. Grant started to object, but his lawyer grabbed his arm. Furthermore, the judge continued, the restraining order currently in place will be extended to a full year. Mr. Waverly, if you contact, harass, or come within 500 feet of Ms. Brennan or her fiancé, you will be arrested. Do you understand? This is bullshit, Grant muttered. What was that? His lawyer spoke quickly. Nothing, Your Honor. My client understands. Good. We're adjourned. And just like that, it was over. I stood in the hallway outside the courtroom feeling like I'd just run a marathon. Jordan had his arm around me. Rochelle was explaining something about paperwork timelines, but I could barely focus on the words. Grant walked past us on his way out. He didn't look at me, didn't say anything, just walked with his head down while his public defender trailed behind. His mom stopped, though. She came over and took both my hands in hers. I'm sorry, she said, for everything. He's my son, but I know what he is. I hope you can finally move on. Thank you, Mrs. Waverly. She nodded sadly and followed Grant out. Jordan and I went to lunch afterward. We sat in a booth at this little sandwich place near the courthouse and didn't talk much. Just ate and looked at each other across the table. It's done, I finally said. It's done. I'm not married anymore. No, you're not. Which means I can actually marry you now. Jordan smiled. The first real smile I'd seen from him in weeks. I guess that means we need to call the venue. We did call the venue. And Jordan's parents and his sister Paulina. The wedding was rescheduled for 2 months out from that day. New invitations went out to everyone who'd received the original ones, with an apologetic note about unforeseen circumstances. Most people were understanding. A few relatives on Jordan's side were clearly annoyed about having to rearrange their schedules again, but they kept their complaints to quiet muttering. The next 2 months were busy. We had to redo some things, reschedule others, coordinate with vendors who'd already half completed their work for our original date. It was stressful, but the good kind. The kind where you're working towards something instead of just trying to survive. 3 weeks before the new wedding date, I got a final text from Grant. Unknown number, but I knew immediately it was him. Hope you're happy. You ruined my life. I have nothing left because of you. Remember that when you're saying your vows. I screenshot it and sent it to Rochelle, who forwarded it to the court. Grant was arrested for violating the restraining order 2 days later. He pled guilty and got 30 days in county jail plus 6 months probation. I didn't feel bad. Not even a little. Final update. The wedding was perfect. Not perfect in the social media way, where everything is coordinated and filtered and designed to make people jealous. Perfect in the messy, real way, where things go slightly wrong, but nobody cares because everyone's too happy. Jordan's sister Paulina gave a toast that made everyone cry. His dad got drunk and started telling embarrassing stories about Jordan as a kid. My mom danced with Jordan's dad, even though neither of them really knew how to dance. When Jordan and I finally got a quiet moment together, standing outside the reception hall looking up at the stars, he took my hand. We made it, he said. We did. I'm glad you told me the truth. That morning in the kitchen, I almost didn't. I know. But you did. That's what matters. We stood there for a while, just breathing. The music from inside was muffled through the walls. Someone laughed loudly. A camera flash went off somewhere. What do you think Grant's doing right now? Jordan asked. I thought about it. Grant sitting in whatever crappy apartment he'd ended up in. Grant with his probation officer and his court-ordered therapy and his ruined reputation. Grant who had spent 7 years holding power over me and lost it all in one courtroom. I don't care, I said, and I meant it. The honeymoon was in Costa Rica. 2 weeks of beaches and rainforests and not thinking about anything except each other. We came back tan and happy and ready to actually start our married life. 6 months later, I got a letter in the mail. Actual paper mail, which surprised me because who sends letters anymore? It was from Stacy Plummer. Dear Tessa, it started. I hope this finds you well. I wanted to let you know that I've been following your story since we talked last year. I'm so glad everything worked out. I also wanted to tell you something I found out recently. Grant tried to pull the same thing on someone else, a woman in Arizona. He told her they were going to get married, took money from her, then disappeared. She tracked him down somehow and filed fraud charges. Last I heard, he's facing serious time. I don't know if this matters to you anymore, but I thought you should know. Some people never change. The best we can do is protect ourselves and help each other. I wish you and Jordan all the happiness in the world. You deserve it, Stacy. I read the letter twice. Then I folded it up and put it in a drawer with our marriage certificate and the paperwork from the divorce hearing and all the other documents from that chapter of my life. Jordan found me standing at the dresser. What's that? Just some news. Grant's in trouble again. Different state, different woman. Are you okay? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Yeah, I am. And I was. We just celebrated our first anniversary last month. Went back to that crappy diner where Jordan proposed. Same booth, same terrible coffee, same sticky menus that probably haven't changed since the 90s. Jordan got down on one knee again, right there by the bathroom hallway. This time he gave me a simple band for our anniversary. I know I already did this once, he said, but I wanted to do it right. No secrets, no drama, just us. The waitress started crying. An old couple at the next table applauded. I said yes again, because what else would I say?